I'm telling you, I think jobs almost like when they hire people, they have this secret behind the scenes meeting of their higher ups and managers and other personnel that are in charge of things. And they're like, this person thinks they're going to be able to survive with working with us. We'll stick it to them. And what's crazy to me is that so many times they'll tell you about how important you are, right? Like they need you, and um, it it just seems as if it's all baloney. And I guess I shouldn't be too surprised because I know corporations and the people that are in positions of power within them, whether that be managers, whether that be CEOs, they don't give a damn about their workers. We've established that. We talked about Walmart and many of these other places where they just let the employees, have no benefits, very little time off. It's just a plethora of problems, right? But what I thought was crazy is that you're seeing it now where you'll have some place that you start working and give it maybe a month, a few weeks, um, they will eventually cut your hours. And it won't even be like, okay, this week you were working 40 hours. The week after that, you're going to work 32. Or, hey, this week you were working 32 hours, now you're going to work 24. They will take us a damn knife and just chop almost all over the way. I had consistently from when I started back in, I believe it was, yeah, November, had roughly 30, somewhere, some number close to 30. It could be 27, it could be 28, it could be some number that was like approaching 30 every week. Um, at least 4 days of working, and they were almost always full shifts of 8 hours or 7 hours. And I looked on my schedule and I saw where it was 10:50 number of hours, so 10 and a half. I said, that's kind of weird. What happened? Um, I started to, because I at first I thought maybe it's because they don't like, I'm just in their opinion, disposable trash, right? I'm nothing to them. They just want me gone, and they can't get rid of me any other way than to just starve me of hours to where I just go and, am motivated to go and look for another position or leave altogether. But then I started to ask around. I talked to two different people yesterday and today. And when I say today, like one of them actually responded to me at 2 in the morning, like an hour ago, and I was surprised to hear back from them. And they said it's the same thing with them. So now we know for certain that this is the hour cutting saga where these jobs will hook you, right? They'll make you think, hey, maybe we don't give you full time, but we're giving you something close to full time. So, still try to learn the stuff, still try to be around when we say we need you. But the reality is that you can be as loyal to them as possible, and they still just give you a big knife to the back. I mean, in terms of just, getting you to believe that they really are desperate for someone, right, like yourself, or just like, really need you to come and do something or to be around. And then the first chance they get to show that they couldn't care less about you, they show it in droves. Jobs are just so wonderful, aren't they? Sitting around and making it seem like they want to get to know you, or I love when you go to an interview and they ask you what are your hobbies. They're like, hey, so tell us about yourself. What do you like to do? I have so many people that ask me that, and it always makes me cringe a little bit because 9 times out of 10 it goes nowhere. Um, I guess today, because right now it's 3 a.m. I'll probably go and look for some stuff. What I'll do is I won't wake up probably until like when it's afternoon time, just judging by however long it takes me to finish the stream. But I'll probably get up around the afternoon hours, go over to this place to pick up this thing, and then go on another one of my fabulous job searches where I just travel around the city looking for hiring signs and go into these places and see how what happens. I actually had another job I applied for that it was some delivery driver position, and talk about miscommunication, right? I speak to a woman over the phone and she tells me, "Oh, you're scheduled for this hour, this day." Da, da, da. I go to the place, I show up. Hey, you're here for an interview? I said, yes. Do you have your driver's license and social security card? I'm like, no. And I say to the person, I say, hey, this was not communicated to me as something I need to bring in. Actually, you're discouraged by I believe it's the Social Security Administration from bringing your card with you because it increased the chances that somebody could get it and then steal it, or you'll misplace it or lose it, just whatever. So that's not even something that I would just like have on me anyway. The driver's license thing is a whole other saga, but my point I'm making is they don't communicate to you that they want you to have something, and then when you don't have it, they're like, I can't believe you don't have this. If we choose to move forward, we're going to need to. And that was actually the part that kind of like tipped me off to this is a load of um, malarkey. I hate to borrow a Biden phrase, but I said, wait a second, you guys are the same ones who were saying that I was hired roughly a week or so ago, to where they even were having me sign up for some training day. And now I'm hearing about if we choose to move forward. And that's one of the reasons why, like, a lot of people didn't understand, why would you drive so far for a job? I was like, well, because it seemed like they actually wanted me. They were giving me hours, and they were, even if they were far away, I still would go over there because whatever I made back, paid for the cost to even get over there. Um, but what's insane to me, absolutely nuts, is like a lot of these places, they love sticking their finger, or excuse me, sticking their toe in the water, right? Like making it seem as if, hey, we want you, we possibly will hire you, and then they pull it back and just tug your at you to just kind of trick you into thinking that you're more wanted than you actually are. So I speak to the one of the managers that's there, one of the people that works there. We go over the things. He starts saying that they would prefer if I apply for a full-time position because they need more people for full-time positions. And of course, I'm always down for having more hours, especially if the other place is going to just cut me down to 10 hours a week. So I say, okay, I'll take the full-time one. Oh, well, we're currently entirely booked on our training days, but somebody will reach out to you eventually. And I'm like, wait a second. So how stupid is that? You're going to tell someone that you need people for full time to work when they're like, hey, I want to do this part time because I have another job as well. Okay, fine, I'll do full time. Oh, sorry, we don't have any spaces available. I despise employers. I really do. Just all the head trips and pretending to be interested and sitting you down for all these stupid interviews. It's so obnoxious. And it's like you drive to all these places, you talk to these people, you sit there for 10, 20, 30 minutes, whether it's on the computer typing stuff away, whether it's on the phone talking to somebody, whether it's in person or Zoom, whatever. And it's just so fruitless. Like you will spend so many days and weeks and hours just circling the wagon for these jobs and nothing improves. So yeah, I'm gonna have my hours cut to 10 for the next 2 weeks, possibly even longer. I waited a little bit because I said, okay, maybe they're just doing it for that week, right? Maybe this is just a thing that's going on for whatever reason, and I'm actually, going to have more depending on what like whether they decide this is just like a one-time thing. Oh no, they're doing it for 2 weeks in a row, so that means for 2 whole weeks, I'll have to survive off of, I think that's $200 maybe 300 if you're lucky, if you count the 4 days together. I really despise these jobs. Like I'm being very serious when I say that they just all they do is lure people in and throw them away. That's why I never get too comfortable with this stuff. I always have this thing, and I've mentioned that while I don't believe in the internet psychiatrist, I do think that I could make a case that going through the experiences I did with jobs over the last few years has really like left me jaded, where you just expect to be fired or phased out or whatever. But honestly, it just seems like employers are apoplectic about bringing somebody on full time, and you just have to have two jobs or even three to even be able to survive. I mean, they can at the snap of their fingers, go from having you for 30 hours a week to 15 to 5, like, and it's so repetitive because I remember that I mentioned I had two jobs back in November for a brief period, and I was like let go of from the other one because I wasn't willing to show up, if I remember correctly, one of the days of the week where I was like working at the other place until 1 or 2 in the morning, and then they wanted me to come in at 12 or 11 in the morning the same day, and I just thought it was too much. And sure enough, the manager of that place, tried to sing the whole song and dance of how, we need you, and if you're not available, then we're gonna have to let you. And I was like, you guys are barely giving me any hours anyway. Like, you go and work at this place for a week, you get 8 hours. Who the hell can live off of that? No, the answer is nobody. But they don't care, especially not the manager. The manager is the one that sits up there from 9 in the morning to 6 or 7 at night. So they're well endowed with hours. They get part-time days too. Like they don't even work full time anyway, because they have like the extra 2 hours for their 4 days a week adds up to a fifth day. So they don't have to worry about, oh man, being up here all day long. They get a nice little 3-day vacation after really not doing that much anyway. Like I can't tell how many managers I've seen where they're doing is like running around or sitting in the office counting something or telling somebody else to go do something. It's just a sick joke. Like, when you see somebody as a manager at a place and they try to pretend like they're really doing some tough, hard work, I don't believe them. That's like the biggest vacation you can get as an employee, being a manager. I have to fill out this paperwork. I remember when I was unemployed, I used to like hear the mocking insult of, like, well, not directed toward me most often, but just in general, like, get a job. It's like it actually doesn't matter if you have one or not, because they can just at the flip of a switch decide that you don't we don't need you anymore, or you're not worthy of having these hours anymore, so goodbye. Or, we'll still have you, but not as much, nowhere near as much. And I even tried to pick up some shifts. They have a little app that we use. You can pick it up, and they wouldn't approve it. And actually, what's really funny is that right now they have two other shifts that are available for pickup that are on Saturday. And I told them Saturday was the one day I just couldn't work, because I like having one day in the week where I can rest, where I can just whatever other stuff I need to do, have to do, whatever it can be done that day. I like having that one day where I can look forward to it, know that I don't have to worry about some manager calling me, hey, can you come to I like having that one singular day off. I really do. It is very appealing to me. Um, but sure enough, they put up requests for people to work on Saturday, And, I was like, am I really desperate enough to compromise my one day, right? Just so I can get those extra 8 hours or 7 hours. And I said, you know what? To hell with them. Because if they can't give me an extra 8 hours on the shifts that were for the other weekdays, who's to say that if I apply for the one on Saturday, they don't, decline that as well? So it looks like I'll only have 10 hours of work for the next 2 weeks. And I am not excited about that at all. God, this year has already shown it's gonna just be a repeat of last year. It's crazy to think we're only a sixth of the way through, and I just feel so like over it already. Just the way people have acted, other developments. I mean, just everything in general starts to kind of fall over my head. I actually had something happen this week where it was so awful and so infuriating that I actually pulled over while I was driving and just kind of like closed my eyes and had to take in a deep inhale and remind myself, why I even bother with stuff in the first place. But I also decided that I'm not gonna say what it is. Like I'm normally an open book about most of the things that happen. Um, but one of the things I do despise about just sharing things is that you have these people that come out of the clear blue sky. They're like, "You probably did this," so, and I just decided it's not something that I have the tolerance to hear dissenting views on. Um, when you get persecuted in real life for something, you don't need people online to just like add rub salt in the wound. So I've decided I'm not going to bother saying what it was. Yeah, it is something that has been bothering me for the last few days. It is something I think is unfair to me, but hey, it wouldn't be the first time I thought something was unfair to me, now would it be? And really, I just hate the idea that people can do things to you with impunity and then like expect things to just go back to normal. The only silver lining to this week is that I guess the subject person of the "We're Going as Friends Right" stream decided to make some kind of attempt at reconciling, and I do appreciate that. It's nice to have people that can kind of like say, "Hey, we're better." Not in a romantic way, but we're better together than apart. I guess stronger together is another term for it. Oh man, yeah, that hour cutting is so obnoxious, and it seems like there's really nothing you can do about it. Like, but also, I should say the main reason I don't want to just tell them okay, goodbye, whatever, is that there is a possibility they'll give me more after several weeks, if not even longer, of just having nothing or very little. So and also I have to say that like this is the longest I've been with a job, which makes me reluctant to just walk away. Um, whereas if I was only with them for like a few weeks, less than a month, I'd be like, okay, whatever. Just like when I was with the other place and they want to sit there and give me 8 hours a week, I said, hey, this is stupid. I'm not making anything. This is like a goodbye, right? Like it's dumb. But it's just a frustrating situation because I'd love to be able to just say, oh, tomorrow I'm gonna go and find another job and then I'll work there. But having two jobs is not easy, and I know that now from experience. I have to tell the other place I'm working here, show them the schedule to that one, if they're even willing to play ball in the first place. It's just, and that's why I was so briefly excited for that driver job because when they told me part-time's only for Saturday, I was like, "Hey, you know what? That's fine because at least that's like an extra 8 hours a week, on a day where no one like, nothing else could possibly mess with it." But it drove me crazy that that's, the full extent of work. I mean, you start working somewhere, and after being with them for a few months, they decide, "Okay, we don't need you anywhere near as much as we needed you in the past. So, goodbye." I'm telling you, I just feel like with this job stuff, it's a revolving door. Like, I'll never be with any company long enough to even be considered for a position like manager, and they're always going to feel like they can just throw me away. It doesn't matter how much you do the work. It doesn't matter how much they compliment you. It doesn't matter how much you show up on time, how committed you are. It doesn't matter. They'll just replace you, throw you away. Jobs, jobs, jobs. I was saying that should be the new phrase. Like you don't get a job, get jobs. Get like two or three of them just to be able to survive. Just to be able to like get a little bit of, and that was actually a comment I made before, that jobs actually defeat their own purpose, because the point of having one is you'll be able to take care of yourself. But if they're barely giving you any hours, then that they make that an impossible feat. No, I don't even know what to say anymore. Things are just getting so crazy and all over the place, and I just, like I said, today's going to be goofy. Like I'll try to do some writing, some drawing. I actually drew something earlier. Um, but I'm sure after probably a few hours of being up, I'll begin my journey of looking for work. And after that probably doesn't go anywhere today, I'll go to the the job for the next 3 days, and then enter a phase of like semi-retirement where they have you there for one full shift, excuse me, one half shift, and then like one semi full shift. I just I despise them so much. Because I also mentioned that I had an instance where they told me to leave prematurely, which means I drove over like an hour just to work for 3 hours, 3.5 hours. And I thought it was insane, because it's like you guys tell me five something, and then I get here and it's not that. That's why I said I feel like if you ever work for a restaurant and you're not a manager, you might as well not even bother, because they really feel like every single person that's there who doesn't have on the stupid polo shirt, might as well just like not even bother with attempting. I mean, if they can just at the snap of a finger go from giving somebody almost 30 hours a week to 10, then yeah, there's no point. God, I don't understand the logic of that at all. Can never have anything simple, can we? I was talking to someone outside yesterday, and they said that they think the place hires too many people. I was like, I agree. But it's funny because it's like I always remember how everyone kept saying the position you have, washing on stuff that's important. We need someone to do this. But then, when it comes time to cut hours, you're first on the chopping block. I don't know, I might go down there one time each day, like I'll pick 2 days out of the week to travel over there to like go and make use of my discounts. Be like, oh yeah, I exist. You guys won't give me any hours, but I still am a person, a human being that needs to survive. And that's actually one of the problems I've had with a lot of modern people. They seem to forget that we're human beings. Like, um, I have a lot of coworkers that it seems are very, 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 very open to just tattletelling on someone. He didn't do this. He did that. And I always say that like I am very reluctant to tell on a person unless they're doing something that's like really egregious to me and that has yet to appear. Um, because I would not feel comfortable being the direct cause of somebody else's livelihood being in trouble. Um, I really wouldn't like to know that, like, oh, because you went and said this person was making fun of you or calling you out of your name or, whatever. Um, we've decided that they will be fired or they will have only 2 hours a week instead of the 20 they had before. And, this is all thanks to you. We couldn't have screwed them without you. I don't like that at all. And that's something that a lot of these coworkers don't seem to understand. They don't have that same level of like, you know, basic humanity. So at the snap of a finger, they can just tell on you, and you better hope that your supervisor, manager, whoever doesn't just can you. And I also want to just say, like, I've long accepted I'm never gonna, be anything on this site or any other like form of social media, but that was always the most appealing part to me of like being a content creator and actually being able to make something off of here because I so much despise the fact that these corporations and more specifically the people that run these places feel like they can just basically use anyone they want like a guinea pig for a few weeks, a few months, and then toss us whenever they feel like it. And then it won't even just be like that. It will also be this cavalcade of twists and turns. You get a few hours here, a few hours there. They're mad because you didn't do this. Like I'm not even against working under someone else. I'm against working under a system that is designed to be unsustainable. Everyone knows 40 hours a week is like a bare minimum for a full-time job. So the fact that these places won't even give you that, but then also are fine with cutting the little bit that you get, it just makes you want to throw in the towel sometimes. Like that's why I said that period where I didn't have anywhere to stay, I was so over everything. I was so tired of like, oh, you need to pay this much by this point, or you need to pay that like because it was just when you factored in the way these jobs are, right? The whole like get rid of somebody at the drop of a hat. It just took a lot of like stress off of me to not have to worry about paying this bill and paying that and how are you gonna it just it's difficult to explain. I'm just saying that I felt some larger level of freedom, even if it wasn't ideal, and it certainly wasn't. But can I really say that any of these jobs are ideal to me? That when I get up, I'm excited to go and drive an hour and a half or 2 hours to sit up somewhere where most of my coworkers can't even say hello to me and only speak to me if they want me to perform some task for them. That's why I said I feel like just throwing in the towel sometimes. Like I was actually on the freeway about maybe it could have been 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it's definitely been within the last few weeks. It was actually about 2 Saturdays ago, and as I was driving, I started to hear kind of like a thunderous noise. And at first, I thought maybe it was somebody else's car acting up because sometimes I hear and see things from other people's stuff and think it's mine. And I was like, "What is that noise?" Right? And I heard like, and I pulled over and I saw that my tire had popped, where like the whole tread was just ripped out of it. And I was like, "Wow, this really had this happen." Of all the places for that to happen, it would be on the freeway where you know I couldn't accelerate as much, where I could have crashed into something. And I started thinking to myself, if that did happen and I didn't have to go and work this job and I didn't have to worry about paying this and paying that, it's like, would I really be that dissatisfied? Because like I've said before, I have things I want to do. But it's like just as I've explained previously, so much of this stuff is just joyless. Like you do a lot of things out of the hope that eventually it'll pay off, and it just seems like it doesn't. Because even like whatever, the YouTube stuff is a pipe dream, but even in working here, there was always this hope on my part that you do this thing that they say they need somebody to do, and they think you know what you're doing. They like the speed by which you do it. That you show you're proficient in doing it. They'll give you more hours. Instead, the reverse is true. You show up on time each day. You do all the tasks that are asked of you. Some of them to where they even make the little stupid compliments, and your reward is getting only a third of the hours that you had before for these upcoming 2 weeks, if not even longer, depending on what schedule they have not yet shown. I guess I'll know on Tuesday. Um, Tuesday or Wednesday, like it's in that middle part of the week where they put it up. But it just goes back to what I said before. There's so little payoffs to things. Like who's to say if I work somewhere else and they're blowing smoke up my back. Oh, you're such a proficient at this, da, da, da. And then after what, a month, 2 months. Oh, you know how you had 30 hours last week? We're gonna make it 8. And they always show that they don't appreciate you. Like today I didn't even have to work. I picked up someone else's shift. Um, like I could have just saw that and been like, oh well, not my problem. But I said, hey, you know what? They're about to cut my hours. Let me try to get what I can. And God, they approved it. I came out there, did my thing for 5 hours, and left and returned here. And now we're at the stage that we are. But I said, isn't it sad that like even if you do things like that, you work days where you weren't even scheduled to work, they still just they don't appreciate you. And that's the biggest problem with these damn corporations. They work people like slaves. They give you all this feedback that are positive reinforcement that ultimately means nothing. And then when they feel like they've gotten all they can out of you, they just throw you aside like a empty potato chip bag. And they have no problem doing it to you, to 10 other people, 20 other people. This is just the way that they are. These jobs are run by demons. Like they have no compassion or concern for anyone but their bottom line. I said it's so funny how we always talk about like rent is just too damn high, right? $2,000 for one bedroom apartments over here. And I said, well, hell, we're at a point now where you can't even get $1,000 a month from working these jobs because they won't give you any damn hours. Everybody wants to hire part time, part time, part time, part time. And then you play ball with them. You're like, okay, you know what? They don't want to give me a full shift. At least it's something, right? Even when you acquiesce to their petulance, bend the knee, right? Try to work within the system that they've composed for you, all that stuff. You still get screwed. You still work for these places, break your behind, sweat and bleed for them. And what is your prize? Barely being given any hours after a few months because they don't want to pay you more dollars. So yeah, I'm actively looking for something else. I'd rather not be. I'd love to come on here and tell you the great story of how I was working at this place and they recognized my contributions and decided that I would be someone that they would have for longer amounts of time, but that was not the case. Man, I don't even want to mention the thing with what else happened this week. And I also should say I really hate looking for a job. It's one of my least favorite sagas, or I guess trials, where because it's like this: you go on these websites, you apply for stuff, nothing happens, or even if you do get some interviews, nothing happens. Or or if they do say they've hired you, it's a dragged out process of paperwork for this, paperwork for that, paperwork for this, paperwork, all that trash. Um, then let's not forget if you go and physically go places, you're lucky if that's not fruitless. I mean, tomorrow, the only thing I can think of is just going around this one area where I've seen some help wanted signs. I haven't been there in about 2 months almost, and just seeing if not tomorrow, today rather, seeing if they're actually hiring anybody, like just driving around, because I really don't know what else to do at this point. There's just so much stuff with, you know, God, I hate this so much. I'm already dreading it. Like I said, the only silver lining from this week is that me and this other person are on good terms again. Um, because it's not enjoyable to see someone that you had a good dialogue with just completely act like you don't even exist. And I'm glad that it appears that that's no longer the case. Oh God. Anyways, in terms of documentary related news, FDR Part 2 is about halfway finished. It's been a lot slower than normal because I've just had so many days where I'll go and work. And then even the days where I don't work, I still have to like run errands and travel over here, travel over there. Um, I'm not going to put a definitive release date. I don't, I don't, I'm, I think if there's one silver lining about the 10-hour thing, I might be able to finish it by the start of March. Um, And then after that, I'll probably do Johnson Part 5. But again, don't quote me on that because I don't know for sure yet. Mm. Oh, documentaries. I must be a really dumb person for ever thinking that was a good idea. And then, of course, we still have to do some more Taylor Swift videos. She really has become one of the most famous people in the world. Honestly, like I mean, when you get to a point where you don't even have to be in an election and people are afraid that you're going to make an endorsement, you know you've achieved you've made it. I still can't get over the outrage of her being made Person of the Year by I think it was Time Magazine last year, and just how upset people were at this singer being crowned with that position. It's because I was surprised because as far as I could tell, people don't even read newspapers anymore, right? Like not even just like in the physical print, but nobody really talks about the LA Times, New York Times, Washington Post. What's the other one? Wall Street Journal. Nobody really talks about them. They're kind of like relics. Like I use the Hill when I want a news story because I find what they tend to cover things I don't see from CNN, for example. And I've discussed before how cable news is just not productive. Like when you watch it, you might as well just be watching. It would be like if you took a video of like maybe 3 videos of me reporting the news that I put up in one day and just played them over and over again on loop for the next several hours. Because cable news operates on the mirage that they're telling you something urgent or that you need to hear or something that's like a really big deal. But in all seriousness, it's not anywhere close to that because they'll replay the same stories over and over. And one of the things they like to do is they'll be like, just example, this actor is announcing their engagement to this person. And then they do like a little video. Here's the brief summary of their romantic history. And then they have the little analysts come on and they talk about it for 10, 20 minutes. And it's like, that's why it's artificially inflated because if you go and read a news article about the actor announcing their engagement, that's like 3 minutes of reading, right? But when cable news is trying to stretch out stories, they have to get a whole team of people to discuss the most minute details. Oh, look at what necklace they were wearing. Look at their, whatever, whatever. So what I'm saying is a lot of these television sources are not good sources to watch if you actually want to be informed on things. They're like filler. They're there to play in the background, have running on while you're doing other stuff. But as far as, oh yes, this is who I should take seriously. I need to listen to this. Yeah, they sent me a message at 2 in the morning. I got kind of excited because I thought since it was the weekend, they would respond, at let's just say not non-normal hours. So when they responded at that time, I was like, oh, maybe I'll be able to talk to them. Nope. That no call thing drives me absolutely bonkers. Like, because I said, what's the point of so? I guess I'll put it this way: there are people I've known who prefer typing stuff, which I don't. And I can say at least with most of them, they respond quickly. You can get like a decent conversation with them, maybe. With this one, it's like you'll get a comment maybe every four. You'll get like 2 or 3 responses in one day if you're lucky. Just very, very, very hard to track down, or rather, excuse me, hard to pin down as someone to talk to. It's difficult. It's really tough. I don't know. I already said before, the problem with a lot of these women is that it's like being in a revolving door. Like they do one thing that makes you think they want to talk to you, and then something else that just completely reverses it. I mean, when I made the banana penalty, I was just so angry about all the twists and turns with that one broad. Where honestly, doing the video was like my like final statement, because Uh, I just got tired of the revolving door. Oh, first I like you, then I'm gonna ignore you, then I like you again, I'm gonna ignore you again, I'm gonna disappear for 3 months, then I'm gonna resurface and say that we can talk after tomorrow, and then I'm gonna dodge you after tomorrow, and then unfriend you a week from now, and then after you make a video on me, I'm gonna send you a friend request so I can actually tell you the real reason why I'm ignoring you, and I'm gonna promise to stand up against my tyrannical boyfriends. We can actually talk it just so I can go and decide to cower out at the last minute and do this again to you. So I just didn't have the patience by the time we got to November, because I said this whole like keeping me at a distance thing has been going on now for it originally was just 1 month, right? Just July, okay, this weird broad, whatever. No, that went on for 4 months, like August, September, October, November. It took that long for her to spit out the truth about why she had been ignoring me, and so many lies. My ex is harassing me. Find out the ex and the current boyfriend are one and the same. Uh, he's bothering me. I like how she admitted that he actually was bothering her, but then it's like, I guess you like harassment. He stayed with him. She was lying all the way up until the end. The new guy I'm with doesn't like me talking to you at all. It's like, oh, I said, is the new guy better than the old guy? He is the old guy. So, oh Lord. Yeah, you had the one guy that came on the video talking about, like, she has tried to gently tell you from the beginning. They can't even write properly, so they misplace words. But it's crazy because it's like I have left her completely alone. Like, after she unfriended me in November, that was it. I have not made any attempt at contacting her. I saw her new stupid video last month. I didn't actually watch. I just like looked at the thumbnail and kept it moving in my subscriptions. So I have left that person alone. It's just with the other one, it was a lot harder to just kind of like sweep her under the rug because you work with this person, you see them several times a week, and this was someone that you used to talk to, that you would make your little jokes with, that you thought you were um, getting to know more personally, and it's just harder to disassociate with someone like that. Um, than the other one, because of that, that's just, that other one is just some idiot in another state, right? I'm probably never going to go to. Um, this one, the coworkers, like, that's someone that you see constantly or regularly, and you had a good dialogue with, and things shouldn't have gone the way that they did. That's all I can say. I might actually name the stream something else, maybe the hour cutting saga. I really hate the idea of having to try and get a second job, because all they do is screw each other. Oh, you can go over there on Saturday, but you can't come here on Saturday. I guess I'll just have to hope that The other place does part-time as well, and they don't try to schedule me in the morning ever. But it's scary. Like I'm not even trying to be funny. This is the most unstable week I've had probably since October in terms of working somewhere, because I don't know what's going to happen with that other place. Are they going to keep only giving me 10 hours a week, or is it going to go back to more? And then am I going to have to tell the other one I'm quitting? It's God, you need two or three jobs just to survive. Everything is just so damn rigid and designed on purpose to be unaffordable and undoable. Yeah, I kind of feel like I don't know, just a hamster on a wheel. You get like I remember like how excited I was to just be hired somewhere, right? And now you go, yay, one day this week, 2 days this week. Can't wait to not have any hours after a while. Not gonna ever be able to make anything off of this. And it was just so frustrating, man, because it's like how much is too much? How much longer are we gonna go through this same stupid game of apply here, hear nothing back, apply here, hear nothing back? That's honestly the part I'm just the most frustrated about because it's like even when a job tells you you're hired, you're really not. I still can't go over back in what was that April, the job where they had me fill all that paperwork, sit through two interviews, and then gonna send me have the nerve to send me a message talking about we have decided to move forward in a different direction. It made me want to spit on my screen because it was like I spent this time with you bastards, filled out all your trash, and then you're like, no thanks. Didn't make any sense. Like I said, I never had a job before applying for that one where they were like, thanks for applying, but no, thank you. Just weird, man. Just totally insane. And of course, the same jerks were sitting on that same website weeks, excuse me, a few months later, still looking for people. I always find those so funny because they when they reject you or they don't like hit you up for an interview, they always make it sound like they found the perfect, amazing, suitable candidate, and like you're just a little piece of garbage. We don't have to waste our time with you. You're nothing. And then you come back months later and find out that what I guess either that person left or somebody else did because they're still looking for somebody. I think my favorite job interview was probably the one for the 'cause that's another thing I said. I'm never gonna apply for caregiver jobs or what's the other one? Assistance, mental behavioral assistance, whatever it's called. They play too many games. My favorite interview was when I went to the I think it was a nursing home and I was on time. And even though I was on time, even though I was in the area where they knew who I was, they knew why I was there, I still ended up having to wait 40 damn minutes to speak to somebody. And after waiting 40 damn minutes to speak to somebody, this lady showed me around the place. Um, the other one kind of like asked me some questions. And there was another woman who was supposed to talk to me, but she was too busy running back and forth between rooms, so I never got to speak to her. And I remember thinking to myself in the weeks like after that, I said, what was the point of having me drive or, over there, sit for this protracted, almost like, I mean, it was creeping on an hour, but sit for this protracted amount of time just to have like nothing, like just to, they talk to you, right? Hi, ask you some personal questions. Do you have any kids? Uh, talk talk about the position, and then they see you out, never to be seen again, never to be contacted again. Just got to keep the revolving door running. And that's the part that drives me the most insane. Like they act as though they really want somebody, but everything in their behavior and the way that they treat people after they work for them shows the opposite. Like if I actually wanted somebody to work for me, I'm going to give them some hours. I'm not going to say, okay, for these first 3 months, you're going to get 20 something a week, and then after that, 10. Like it's stupid. But hey, I guess if they don't have to worry about not being able to afford anything, that's fine by them. I hate these people so much, man. They don't care about anything but themselves. And it doesn't matter what work you do for them, they will chew you up and spit you out. Also, I was gonna say that one of the things I noticed I like to do is I don't generally put up, so in having certain people's numbers, I don't save the number under their name until I've spoken to them for roughly several weeks, a month, whatever. Um, because so often in real life, there's this flakiness where you'll have a person who maybe they start off responding to you really often, right? And they just stop. Or you have a person who you really like in real life, maybe online as well, depending on where you met them, and you want to talk to them. But they barely ever respond. Like I still don't have her number saved as a contact because what's the point? This is someone who can't even let me hear their voice, who writes maybe 2, 3 times a day if you're lucky. And I just don't feel as if there's any reason to believe that, especially if this place is like trying to see me out the door, that come 2, 3, 4, 6 months from now, me and this person will still be speaking. I'm getting the courage up to ask again about going to do something together that's not related to just sitting up there all day. Um, but this time, if I'm stood up, I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to get angry because now I have no expectation. Um, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So if I ask and get stood up again, I won't even get mad. Hell, I might not even do what I did last time where I like canceled everything. Right? I was like, oh yeah, that's also happening today. I forgot. No, but I would actually, make the meeting, like attend it. I wouldn't stand somebody up on purpose. Just saying that if they do it again, I'm not surprised because some habits are hard to break. No, my favorite news story this week was the plane because it's like, okay, it's one thing to say that you don't want somebody tracking where you're going, but to accuse this guy of being a stalker from using publicly available information, I just think is pure lunacy. Like, and then also the fact that you can't even prove he's ever actually stalked. So like, it's literally just he goes and looks it up and then puts on his page or whatever. I said before that like most of those guys that were really obsessed with chicks, they don't even have enough money to go and do all that. Like she's flying all these different countries. What regular man is going to be able to just travel from Italy to uh Germany to, just it's too much. Like it's and of course my favorite part was him quoting her song, "Look What You Made Me Do." Because I mean, it kind of fits. If she hadn't have filed her lawsuit, he wouldn't have said what he said and had his lawyers representing him. So, in a way, she kind of dug herself into that. No, I wouldn't even bother trying to, you know, like the one I mentioned is the only one I feel comfortable enough with to um have been so direct as like, hey, can we do this together? Because I don't, and I've kind of had my point proven. I feel like most of the chicks in these different jobs are kind of like they have their clique, and if you're not part of the clique, they won't even bother speaking to you. And with her, I never felt that she had that. She's always felt to me like someone that was just trying to, you know, scrape their pennies and leave, which I can respect, and it certainly is something that I could be accused of myself, and there'd be credibility to it. But that's why with her, I'm more patient than I probably would be with the other ones, where I wouldn't even bother with the other ones. Um, but stuff can always turn out to be the opposite of what you want. And if I do end up trying to have a sequel to that, to We Can't Be Friends, we're going as friends rather, where you ask them to go see a movie, they say yes, but then something happens in the way. It's not even you're not even going to see as dramatic of a response from me because, like I said, I took her at her word and was let down. So now I'm going to have no expectation. Like her saying yes, it would be the same effect as her saying no, where it doesn't even happen. But if she says yes and then doesn't do it, I'm not going to get mad at all. I'm probably just going to smile and say, "There she goes again." When I saw those hours cut on the job after 3 months of being their faithful little diligent employee, I said, "There they go again." It's just the same stuff repeating itself, man. You think one thing is normal, but then it turns out to be the complete opposite. Oh man, I tell you, it's hard to survive out here. Like just the way the jobs are, the way the people are, where it's like even if the jobs give you hours, somebody that's working there can just doom you anyway. I really don't enjoy just traveling around trying to get some work, but damn it, I feel like a hamster on a wheel. I don't know what else I can do. You try to have this job, they won't give you enough hours now, and it doesn't look like that's stopping anytime soon. So I'm just gonna have to try and see if I can look for something else, and if they conflict with each other, maybe I'll go to the other one. I don't know. I really don't want to entirely get out of the one I currently have. I do feel more secure there than I've probably ever felt anywhere else. But even in being with them, I keep seeing more and more proof that they don't even like me. I'm just this big joke gag toy to them. So I figure I might as well not even bother with trying to be there for them because they weren't there for me. So the important lesson of this stream is that modern jobs and really just jobs in general, especially the ones that are tied to these corporations, they don't care about you. it doesn't matter how good of an employee they say you are. It doesn't matter if they were giving you a lot of hours when you first started. Eventually, they will throw you away, cast you into the wind, and they won't even blink an eye as to how you're supposed to survive working 10 hours a week for the foreseeable future. So I guess I can also say that it's just depressing that it had to come to this. Like, why am I fated to have two jobs or three? But like I said, when you're not a manager, you just get treated like human garbage. Um, and it's really unfortunate because most employees are not managers, and thus they're subject to getting thrown around left and right. Man, it's going to be a hard week. I thought this past week was difficult, but this next one might say hold my beer. But yeah, I'm going to get off of here and probably try to get a little bit of sleep before heading out tomorrow on my big adventure into trying to find some other occupation. So thanks for showing up. Have a good rest of your night, or I guess morning rather.